Lee at Iridium, and I got Mark Cloer with me. How you doing, mate?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. So we've tackled some stuff with Dio before, haven't we? Like we've talked about Sabbath and all that stuff, and gone through like our favourite Sabbath songs, and that obviously touched upon Dio, but we've never actually talked that much about the Dio solo stuff.
Right.
So obviously there's 10 albums, and we're going to do one of our shows we do where we talk about our favourite track and our least favourite. A bit controversial sometimes, because we don't like talking about the artists we love and our least favourite songs, but we don't always hit it out of the park all the time, do we?
Right.
But artists don't always do it 100% all of the time. Even greats like Dio, and everyone knows I love Dio, so it hurts me to actually say it, but it's our least favourites and our favourites. So this ain't this is not the hits, or it's not the ones that everyone thinks is the worst song. It's what we think. Simple as that.
All opinion.
All opinion, which some people don't understand, but sometimes, but it is just an opinion. So no offense to anyone. It's just us. So we haven't compared lists, obviously. It's funny with Dio because both of us are very similar. We sort of, I suppose the first albums, would you say this was correct, were quite big parts of our lives, the first couple.
Yeah.
And then even though I'm a massive fan of Dio and his voice, and I sort of left it alone for years, just like you did, Mark, and had to refresh myself with this list. So it wasn't the easiest thing to do, but what it does do, though, it gives me and you, I suppose, there's no nostalgia involved about no matter what that song's like, because it was part of you growing up or whatever. Both of us are quite not completely fresh, but it's not like we know these albums inside out completely,
Right.
and they're stuck in our memory, if you like. To tell you the truth, the first three were, for me, I didn't have to listen to them, but the others I did a little bit. So there you go.
Yeah, I had to go back and listen to some of the ones I hadn't listened to in recent years and kind of reacquaint myself with the material. Some of it I had kind of put aside for quite a number of years and didn't remember. I couldn't necessarily remember standout tracks from some of the albums. And had to go back and kind of reacquaint myself and put a list together. But I'll go on record and say his solo career was very hit and miss with me. Obviously, you know how I feel about everything he did in Sabbath, and big fan of what he did in Rainbow as well. I think Dio was at his best with a really strong writing partner.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Tony Iommi, Mr. Blackmore. In his solo career, certainly he had input from his band, but let's be honest, he was the employer, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
He went along with whatever he, wanted to do at the time, whether it was, the right thing to do or not. I guess it's, again, open to his opinion.
Definitely. I mean, look, some of these albums that I think are his weakest, and we'll talk about that as we go through anyway, what we think of the album. But I've seen some people think it's the best album. Yet again, sometimes it's about the time when you first found the artist. It might be younger fans that think, Angry Machines or Strange Highways, or whatever it be, is their best album, his best album, because that's when they first heard the band. Right. And it just sticks with people, doesn't it? It's all opinion. But obviously he even we'll talk about the albums as we go, because I've got a few things to say.
And like you said before, it also depends on when somebody got into a certain band.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If their first exposure was Lock Up the Wolves, that may be the pinnacle for them, whereas it's not necessarily for us.
Exactly, mate. Completely correct there. So we're going to take turns. We're going to go for each album. We're going to say our favourite is and our least favourite. So remember, especially on these first albums, I didn't actually have it. There's not a bad song on a couple of them, but we're talking like least favourites on here. So, of course, the huge album to start off with, and in many people's book, the best from Dio, Holy Diver.
Yep.
I mean, man, there's been so much said about this. I even recently done a track ranking on this, so this one was quite easy for me, recently done. So do you want to go first on this, mate? 1983 Holy Diver.
Yep, Holy Diver. Again, I hate to pick the obvious one, but I've got to pick the title track. It still gets a lot of radio play at any given time. You can turn on the radio and potentially hear that song on the radio. But as far as I'm concerned, it is the best on the album. There's not a bad song on this album. I had a hard time even picking a least favorite. But I guess my least favorite would probably be Straight Through the Heart. And again, not a bad song at all. I just this whole album is like you would say, a 10 out of 10. And I had to put something at the bottom, so that was my bottom. But yeah, Holy Diver, the title track, is when I think of Dio solo material, that's the first track that pops into my mind.
Well, I'm a little bit different. I don't know if you watched my video on it, but Invisible is my favourite track on the album, which is more of a deeper cut. But man, it's got that bit at the end where it comes back off that solo, which the solo, by the way, is amazing. You know, the way that Vivian Campbell works his way up the fretboard, and then Dio just like almost frothing at the mouth, like with excitement. There's just so much energy in that song. Invisible's my favourite for that, and Gypsy's my least favourite. You know, I don't know. I still like it. Like you said, it's a 10 out of 10 album, but something's got to come to the bottom. So Gypsy for me.
Yep.
Okay, well, we move on to my actual favourite album of Dio, believe it or not. Last in Line. This is just perfection as well for me. Go on then, mate. 1984.
Yeah, Last in Line. My favorite on this one, kind of a deep cut, I guess. Egypt. The Chains Are On. Really like that song. Very different. Never heard anything like it. Just that's the main one from that album that I go back to when I listen to that album. And then the least favorite is going to be Breathless.
Well, I've got the title track for me is just amazing. Last in Line. Absolutely love it. Sounds so exciting. Again, it's got that energy, especially on that last. It's strange, isn't it? With I think a lot of that had to do with Vivian Campbell. You know, that energy that you're pulling into the music. It's like went on that last verse in that Last in Line. It's almost like he's adding bits in to make it. It's building and building, if you like. My least favourite song is I Speed at Night.
Okay.
So I sometimes think that Dio, and you might find this on some of me the later albums as well. I didn't think Dio were the best at the fast tracks for me. You know, I think the plodding stuff is where Dio really excels. You know, but even the galloping sort of stuff, medium pace sort of stuff. But the fast stuff, not so sure. He sometimes hit it out of the park, by the way, with faster stuff. You know, We Rock and stuff like that. It's just amazing. But would you say that was a fast song? I Speed at Night is basically like the fastest song on the album. But still a good track and my favourite album, like I said. So now this next album, mate, was a huge... I think I thought this was better than it actually was when it came out, Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
I actually, this was a non-stop player for me. But over the years, I've started to see the difference between that and the first two, for sure.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's my least favorite of the first three.
Yeah, easy for me. Yeah.
Like you say, back in the day, it was, you know, when it was fresh, you know, I guess as time goes on, you start to analyze songs a little more than you did when you were, you know, a teenager or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that album, not near as cohesive as the first two.
No.
In my opinion.
Especially the back end for me, the back end of the album. You know, those last few, which we get onto, obviously, with your choices. But yeah, definitely weaker, without a doubt.
My favorite is going to be Rock and Roll Children. And then the least favorite is Shoot Shoot. That one didn't do much anything for me.
So I was torn on the favorite track. I love Sacred Heart. I love the title track. But I think, you know, where this album lost a lot of energy for me, but where it did have energy was in the opening track, King of Rock and Roll. I mean, it's just a blasting, like, you know, opening track. And obviously the crowd noise at the beginning, which made it, I suppose, even more energetic, you know, like it was meant, sounding like a live track, obviously wasn't. And I've gone with the same one as you, mate, Shoot Shoot. I just think it's, you know, it just doesn't really go anywhere, does it?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm a throwaway track.
Yeah, a bit of a throwaway. Definitely, mate. That was 1985 anyway. So obviously Vivian Campbell goes. In comes Craig Goldie. So I don't know what you think of Craig Goldie, but for me, I don't know. He weren't one of my favourite Dio guitarists. I just, you know, when I think he needs someone in a band that's going to do those little licks through the whole song. Craig Goldie was very rhythmic all the way through until he got to the solo. You didn't hear much of that playing going on, apart from on the solo. But I don't know about what's your opinion on Craig Goldie, mate? Good guitarist, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. I mean, Dio, just like Ozzy, never had a bad guitarist. Craig was not the maestro that Vivian Campbell was, but I do like him as a guitarist, and I really do. I love this album, actually. I know it's not real high on your list, but like I said, Sacred Heart was starting to sound a little bit tired. So this was kind of a breath of fresh air to me. And for whatever reason, Vivian and Dio had to part company. Craig came in and he gave it a different sound for sure. But again, you know, he wasn't probably the virtuoso guitarist that Vivian Campbell was. You get the feeling that Vivian came out of the womb playing a guitar.
Yeah.
Craig was just a different kind of player, but the music on this album was a little different as well, so it suited it well. But anyway, I really do like Dream Evil, and I had a real hard time picking favorite on this one because there's several that I really like, but I picked Could Have Been a Dreamer.
Quite commercial, that one, isn't it? A bit of keyboard juice, like you said, a bit different for sure.
And then least favorite was When a Woman Cries.
Cool. So I've actually grown fonder of this album as time goes by. I didn't rate it when it first came out at all. I don't know. I felt that it was even a step down from Sacred Heart. For some reason, I had this vision about Sacred Heart, like it was like on par with the first two. I don't know why I thought that at the time. I was only young, I suppose. You know, what you think back then is different now. But Dream Evil has actually grown on me over time. So I think more of it now than I actually did when I was young. I think it's better than Sacred Heart. But All the Fools Sailed Away is my... it's just Dio, man.
That was the other one that I was trying to decide in my number one there.
Oh, man.
Very, very atmospheric, very epic sounding.
Yeah. My next one is sort of a faster song again. Very generic for me, and that's Over Love. Just didn't do anything for me, really. And it was one of them ones that stuck on sort of the album a bit later on, I suppose, and it just came and went as if it didn't really do a lot, you know, but very generic, I put down. A bit generic, you know, but not a bad album at all. But then we move on to, they sort of went a bit different again, really. Lock Up the Wolves, a little bit bluesy at times as well. I think this is Craig Goldie still.
No, this was
Rowan Robertson.
Yeah, he was 17 years old when he joined the band.
That's right, yeah. Rowan Robertson, sorry, my apologies. So, yeah, and Simon Wright on the drums as well, ex-AC/DC as well. Right. So, coming in for this one. So, yeah, a bit of a different sound. 1990, so obviously difficult period, even a bit later on, even more difficult than this. But what you got on this one, mate?
Yeah, Lock Up the Wolves. The title track is by far my favorite on that one. This album, even though Rowan Robertson was an incredible player, especially considering he was 17 years old, he's another one that, you know, you get the feeling he was playing the guitar when he came out of the womb. Great player. I just didn't think the songs as a whole. This is where Dio really started to lose me a little bit.
Yeah.
The good stuff on there is good. Like I said, I do like the title track. It's very heavy. It's got kind of a Sabbathy vibe. Least favorite is going to be Hey Angel. A little too commercial, poppy, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
For Dio.
I don't even think I heard this for a long time, this album. You know, I definitely didn't get it. I think Dream Evil was the last album I bought at that time, you know. Born on the Sun is the one that I like the most on this one, mate.
Okay.
So again, very sort of slow to medium sort of galloping song, which I like Dio on. And the least favorite for me is Walk on Water.
Yeah.
Just again, some of these ones that are the weak ones, very paint by numbers, not really do a lot for me, you know. So then, well, Dio went.
By that point, his solo career was starting to wane anyway, and that's when I think he became more conducive to the reunion with Sabbath.
Yeah.
As the story goes, Geezer came to a Dio show on that Lock Up the Wolves tour and joined him on stage, played a song. I don't remember what song they played, some Sabbath song. And that's where the seed for the Dehumanizer reunion was planted. And Dio's solo career was not doing all that great. And Sabbath, I like what they were doing with Tony Martin, obviously, but they weren't selling millions of records. So that's where the seed for the reunion with Dio and.
Well, that was a great. Well, we both love that album, man. Dehumanizer was a great album. And he wasn't with them for long. And then 1993, the next album came, which has been likened a lot to that heaviness of Dehumanizer. And I think it's a definite return to form for me.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And is it one of them times again, mate, where we've spoken about this, where you leave a band and then you write some of your better material? I think this is, Strange Highways is definitely, I'm not saying it's on par with Holy Diver and Last in Line, but you know what? It's probably a close third for me.
Yeah, it carried on with the vibe from Dehumanizer. In fact, some of these songs were allegedly going to be Sabbath songs.
Yeah.
If they had done another album after Dehumanizer, some of these songs at least had been tinkered with while he was still in Sabbath.
Definitely.
I do like this album a lot. It's heavy, kind of doomy, like Dehumanizer.
Yeah.
My favorite on that one by far is kind of an odd pick, but Give Her the Gun. I don't know what it is about that song, but I love that song. Very, very doomy. I like the message of the song. And then least favorite is probably going to be Here's to You.
Right, so we're the same on the least favorite one, mate. Here's to You.
Yeah.
And this is one of them albums that it's quite easy to choose the weaker one because there was quite a lot of strong ones, if that makes sense. Yeah. But my favorite one is Bring Down the Rain.
Yeah, okay. I like that one too.
Superb song. I think I did it as a reaction as well. Someone suggested it to me, or a review, or I'd heard it back then, but it was fresh to me because I couldn't remember it. So then for me, it's the weakest album for me. Oh, by the way, Tracy G joined, didn't he, on Strange Highway? So then he was again on this one as well, and Jeff Pilson as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, some great musicians, man. And Vinny Appice back on Angry Machines as well, I believe. So, man, this album, I don't know. This is probably the worst one for me. So
I agree, 100%.
Even little bits of, I'm not saying it's anything like new metal or grunge or anything like that, but it definitely had a different sound to it that was affected by that music.
Had an industrial,
I
think that's the word that was going around at the time, industrial vibe or influence to it.
Yeah.
Um,
He even said, I remember seeing an interview with Dio and him saying that, yeah, they've gone for something different to try and change a little bit. But I think, man, when it comes to Dio, I mean, I can understand trying different stuff because it ain't exactly going too well sales-wise, but not a good album now you look back on it at all. But
yeah. I did forget to mention when we were on Strange Highway, Tracy G gets a lot of criticism amongst fans. He's not one of the favorite guitarists, but I thought he did a damn good job on Strange Highway.
Yeah.
Anger Machine, not so much. Just this album as a whole, just it didn't have any hooks. It wasn't very catchy. There was no melody. Just very disjointed. Seemed like Ronnie had kind of lost his ability to craft a catchy sing-along kind of song, you know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, definitely, man.
It was definitely a sign of the times. Yeah, like you just said, it's my least favorite of his solo albums by far.
Yeah.
My favorite is actually the ballad on the album, which is kind of unusual for Dio to do a full-on ballad anyway, but the one called This Is Your Life.
Yeah, it's a good track.
That's the only one that really had any melody in it at all anyway. I like that one a lot. And then Don't Tell the Kids was probably my least favorite. The rest of the album, it was much easier to pick a favorite than the least favorite because I think I said most of the other songs just didn't turn my crank, so to speak.
Definitely, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Hunter of the Heart as my favourite one on it. And I did struggle to get a favourite song on this, I must admit, but Hunter of the Heart is heavy and doomy, so I think that was probably my favourite one. And Big Sister was my least. Just didn't get on with that.
Didn't like that one at all. As a side note, you just mentioned Jeff Pilson was in that version. Jeff wrote the song on that album called Stay Out of Your Mind. And then I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff's band War and Peace.
No.
That he had going for a while. He actually re-recorded that same song. He just changed the title a little bit. Instead of Stay Out of My Mind, he changed it to Stay on My Mind. But anyway, Jeff sings that same song from Anger Machine on his Light at the End of the Tunnel album that he did with War and Peace.
I love having a bit of trivia on with you, mate. I love to have. You've got to have something I can come away with. I love it. I absolutely love it. So
I'll throw one more at you. The original Loudness drummer, who's dead now, had released a solo album, and there was a song on it called "What Cost War," and Dio sang it on that solo album by the Loudness drummer, and then again Jeff re-recorded it on another War and Peace album. But Jeff must have written that song as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
More trivia there.
Nice, man. Nice. Thanks for that. That's good. So there might be someone taking that away from this show as well, which is good. So Craig Goldie comes back, Simon Wright and Jimmy Bain for Magica. So to tell you the truth, I didn't include the talk on the end of the album. I didn't think that was fair because I don't know, it's not really a song as such, is it?
Right.
So I didn't know if you did.
No, I didn't. It's an interesting listen, but it's not a song at all. So couldn't really rank it. But yeah, I like Magica pretty good. It was Dio getting back to his Dungeons and Dragons roots, so to speak. You know, allegedly he was working on a Magica Part 2, but unfortunately that never happened. My favorite on Magica is going to be Lord of the Last Day. Got that doomy, plotty kind of feel to it. And least favorite is Otherworld.
Well, I've got Feed My Head as the track I like. So got plenty of twists and turns, quite epic in places as well. And my least favorite is Turn to Stone.
Okay.
The chorus especially, man. just didn't like the chorus on this one. It's sort of like it didn't fit with the parts of the song, not cohesive at all on that. But I quite like the Magic. It's a lot better than Angry Machines, man.
Oh yeah, big step forward.
Yeah, but I think he got even better on the next one. You know, Doug Aldrich on the guitar on this one, Killing the Dragon.
Yeah, I love Doug Aldrich as a guitar player. He again, Dio never
Great
had
album cover. Great
never
album
had
cover.
a bad guitar. Yeah, that's a great cover.
Mm.
Dio never had a bad guitarist. I think Doug was up there with Vivian as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The only time I got to see Dio live was on this tour, and Doug was with them, and they played Sabbath stuff, they played Rainbow stuff, you know, along with the Dio stuff. Doug was he was spot on regardless of what era he was playing. He's just an amazing guitar player. And this is probably my favorite of the later Dio albums. The title track, Killing the Dragon, is definitely my favorite. And then least favorite is Push.
Yeah, a lot of people's favorite, Push, but
yeah, I don't know. It's just too simplistic, I guess. The chorus, you know, I don't know.
So I've gone for Killing the Dragon as well. Really great opening track. I nearly went with Rock and Roll, very close.
Yeah.
But I love Rock and Roll as well, but Killing the Dragon pips it to the post. And Guilty was my least favorite. I find it quite dull compared to the rest of the album. Okay then, mate. So the last one, sadly, for a lot of reasons. So Master of the Moon. Craig Goldie back.
Yep.
Again.
Yeah. He definitely there was a swinging door there in regards to Craig Goldie, and he kept coming and going, but yeah, he was there for the last Dio album. I don't like this album overall near as much as Killing the Dragon, but there is some good stuff on it. My favorite is In Dreams. I just love the riff in that one. And then least favorite is probably Living the Lie.
Cool. Well, I've gone for the title track as the my favorite, Master of the Moon. Absolutely love it. Really do me. And my least favorite is The Eyes. Just not a lot of energy in that one at all. You know, compared to some of the stuff that he done in his earlier career. But I mean, overall, you know, some great albums, man. But like a lot of artists, including a lot of my favorite bands, you know, have had a dip. You know, some of the best bands have had dips, and Dio was no exception, really. I mean, if you think about Iron Maiden, they had one of the biggest dips ever, you know, for me, and they're one of my favorite bands. You know, they've all had a little bit, and they even, like Stryper, have had a little dip in their career. Some of the best bands have had it, you know, so it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, his output with Sabbath, like I said, I don't consider any, other than the odd song, I don't consider anything he ever did with Black Sabbath to be weak at all.
No.
You know, the 3 Sabbath albums, and then the Heaven and Hell album, The Devil You Know. Like I said at the beginning, I think his strongest output was with Tony Iommi. I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. I think Tony was the perfect partner to bounce ideas off of, and with him writing the lyrics, Tony writing the music, it was just magic.
Isn't it weird though, the complete change of music for Sabbath because of Dio being in the band completely changed, didn't it? Mad, isn't it? But still, there you go. We've spoken about one of my favourite vocalists of all time. We still haven't done our best vocalist in the world show yet.
You let me know when you're ready for that one. I've got some ideas for that.
It's just knowing how to tackle it, whether to actually rank them or name a load and then have your favourite. It's a bit difficult. And then you've got different genres of vocalists as well. You know, do you put them in the same?
Right.
You know, because I've got some vocalists that were definitely on the more melodic side. You know, and trying to compare them to someone like Dio is, I don't know. I don't know. Perhaps we need a lot of shows to sort that one out. I don't know.
All right. Let me know when.
No, it's great though, man. Thanks for joining me to talk about Dio. So, as you know, great, massive fan in yourself. So that's cool. Got that one out of the way. It's in the bag. So, so everyone else, obviously, who's watching this, what are your favourites? Do you agree or disagree with us? Still, it's only opinions, remember. But let us know what your favourite and your least favourites are, and that'd be cool. Any last words, mate?
No, just enjoyed it as usual. Appreciate you having me on again.
No worries, mate. I'll see you next time.
All right, sounds good.